As neurodivergent thinkers, many of us know what it feels like to be underestimated, to have our potential misread, our brilliance overlooked, our abilities questioned. What's far less common is learning to advocate for ourselves at a young age. And even rarer is to grow into someone who teaches others how to do the same. That's what our guest today, Kelly Van Zant, has done. Take me back to the day that your high school counselor told you that college really wasn't for people like you.
I was in my senior year of high school, and I just reached out to my counselor to help me complete a form for a college application. So we had that dialogue, and he said that to me, college isn't for someone like you. I'm like, what the heck? Why would he say that to me? Confusion, frustration, sadness. But looking back, I really think it was a turning point for me. So I applied without his help, and I got in, and I got a full second biggest scholarship.
Talk us through what your connection to neurodivergence is.
Because I was falling more and more behind in school. So after I got diagnosed, I was diagnosed with ADHD and specific learning disabilities. Even though I was told I had all these things, I had no understanding of what that meant. And I feel like it wasn't really particularly explained to me.
What finally helped you rebuild your confidence and advocate for yourself?
I would say starting to finally see myself succeed, being put into an environment that wanted me to succeed. And that was the trajectory of going up and up and up, where it started to work.
So why did you turn your story into Neural Navigation and the Clever Girl series?
If there's so many other people like us out there, why is it not stopping at just me or just you? So I want to connect, and I wanted to build a better future for not just us, but for the future generation.
Hey, it's Joy, and this is the Joy of Neurodiversity podcast. Here we break down stereotypes, celebrate the brilliance of different minds, and get real about what it actually means to be neurodivergent. Because at the heart of it all, neurodiversity isn't just a concept, it's people. It's lived experiences, challenges, strengths, and the stories that connect us. Whether you're here to learn, feel seen, or reimagine what's possible, you're in the right place. By pressing play, you're choosing to embrace a new way of thinking, one that honors every brain for what it brings. So settle in, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's episode. Kelly, welcome to the Joy of Neurodiversity. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I am so excited as an avid fan and watcher of this podcast. It's kind of surreal to be here talking to you in that specific background. So I'm so excited.
Yay! We're happy that you're here. So listen, I want to just start with the moment that really stopped me in my tracks. I remember when you and I talked about it, I was just like, what? So I want to start there, but then kind of circle back because I feel like
Sure.
it was just a pivotal moment, but one that I'm sure has happened to other people. Maybe not this exact thing, but take me back to the day that your high school counselor told you that college really wasn't for people like you and you should be a garbage collector. Take me back to what that was like. What did that do to you?
Yeah. Well, I guess a little context for that story. I was in my senior year of high school. I was in my senior year of high school, and I just reached out to my counselor to help me complete a form for a college application. I was really, really excited about this college. I found this college on my own. He did not help me at all with thinking about the future. So I'm like, oh, well, he's a college counselor. I should probably reach out, and he knows what to do. Hopefully I'll get in because of his help, right? So we had that dialogue, and he said that to me, college isn't for someone like you. You should be a garbage collector. And in the moment, I had a lot of mixed feelings about it. Obviously, I'm like, what the heck? Why would he say that to me? Confusion, frustration, sadness.
Yeah.
But looking back, I really think it was a turning point for me. But what was great is that deep down, I knew it wasn't right. I really just I
Yes.
felt like I don't think this is I don't think this is going to be for me. So I knew that I shouldn't listen to him and I should go my own path. So I applied without his help, and I got in, and I got a second biggest scholarship that they applied at the school. So success.
Indicating that, which was clearly an indication that you did belong in that place.
Yeah.
Like you did belong there. It's when I heard that, I'm like, I'm gonna find this man. My man, I'm gonna find this man. I'm like, she's not that old. He's probably still in schools, probably in schools, still saying things like
Right.
this to people. But it really is something that I know, maybe not to this extreme level, but I mean, I had counselors, not my counselor. I had an amazing counselor in high school, but
Huh.
I had teachers that thought like I couldn't go to school, I couldn't do certain things. My father was my principal, so he was just like, whatever, she can apply where she wants to apply. But
Yeah.
and I mean, some of the places I applied, I'm just like, no, I wasn't going to get in. But you never know
Mm.
unless you, and there's people that get into schools that are not
Mhm.
deserving of going there. But before we so just coming from that moment, I want to and before we go like a little bit deeper, I just want to have the listeners have a better understanding of what your connection is to neurodivergence. Can you walk us
Yeah.
through? I don't love saying like diagnoses when it comes to neurodivergence, because I feel like that means that there's like something wrong with you. But talk
Right.
us through what your connection to neurodivergence is. How do you experience them, and what has that kind of meant for your life?
I think I really had to first understand what being neurodivergent was. And for a really long time, I had no clue. When I was eventually diagnosed, because the reason why I was diagnosed is I was falling more and more behind in school. So my
Mm,
mom is like, "Oh, this is weird. I should probably take her in because people are saying I maybe should go this direction." So when that happened, I got diagnosed, but I did not understood. So after I got diagnosed, I was diagnosed with ADHD and specific learning disabilities.
okay.
So particularly what impacts learning for the educational standpoint. So I have dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, and auditory processing disorder. So 5 out of the
Oh
7 specific
wow.
learning
Okay.
disabilities. I almost got
Yeah.
them all, but I don't. Almost the whole collection. But it was even though I was told I had all these things, I had no understanding of what that meant. And I feel like it
Mm,
wasn't really particularly explained to me. So, from what I understood from going to a doctor, is like, oh, okay, you have this because you're sick. This is the struggles. This is the root of your issues,
mm,
which sadly is not true. It's not true at
yeah.
all. It's just not. Like growing up, you learn that differently, but that's how I understood it. So there's complicated aspects of understanding neurodivergence, but then growing to love that and to
Yeah.
figure out who I am because of it.
Absolutely. And you were diagnosed at 9, and I didn't realize
Yeah.
that it was 5 of the 7. Can we go back to the beginning for a moment? Because who you were before school started, I think really matters. Before school, you described yourself as being really happy. And so w- I know that that changed a bit when you stepped into the classroom, yes?
Yeah, definitely. So before I started school, I would probably be described as bubbly, have lots of questions, very happy, very social.
Mm,
However, as soon as I got into school, I immediately knew I was different and I didn't belong, which, yeah, and particularly too, if I can give some examples, I had teachers who would be upset with me because I would fidget or I would talk to the person next to me. I would do these types of things that I didn't realize made my teachers upset. And when they
mm,
were upset with me, I'm like, oh, what? Why are you upset? I'm so sorry. So that kind of was the start of it. But even too on a social aspect, I felt like how I communicated with my peers wasn't the most connecting. And I don't know how to explain it, but I felt isolated and maybe not necessarily always connected in those spaces that I could have been,
I
as a
see.
few of those examples.
And you were
Yeah.
9 when you were diagnosed?
Yes. Yeah, I was 9.
But the school diagnosed you. Well, what was it, the school that diagnosed you, or
No.
okay. So you were diagnosed by
Yeah.
an outside person or
Source.
or
Yeah.
and then but the school really didn't help you. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, when I was diagnosed, that was just a piece of the puzzle that I needed for
Mm.
success. So it was only half the help. So when I got diagnosed, I kind of realized, and my mom particularly realized this because I'm still decently young, that the teachers still weren't particularly prepared and were trained to teach me, and
Oh,
as
yeah.
well as they didn't particularly follow the requirements for the IDEA Act as well. So, yeah, so even though I had an IEP, an individual education plan that
Mhm.
was designed to help me, particularly through this school, I had teachers that said, "No, I'm not doing this.
And it's
This
these
is,
are legally
yeah.
binding documents. To people that don't know what the IDEA Act is, can you tell me what that is?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So to break it down, the IEDEA Act is under an umbrella of the overall ADA. I think yes, it's under the umbrella of the ADA Act. So that covers all individuals with disabilities, physical disabilities to neurological disabilities. But under that is the IEDE or the IDEA Act, which covers specifically me and other people that have neurological differences.
Mhm.
So it's really covering things like accommodations, things like
Mhm.
IEPs, and making sure these systems, even at work, if you have a job, you can ask for accommodations that falls under that IDEA Act. So
Okay.
it's legally binding in the sense of
Yes,
you can have support for being different.
absolutely. And so they were not
Equity in
following this,
education. Yeah.
which is baffling to me. But it's not, I mean, what if I want to go back a little bit to what you had said. You mentioned that like the teachers just weren't prepared or trained to help you. And it's so true. I've spoken about it all over the world about this, about a blind spot that there is, especially when it comes to neurodivergence. And
Yeah.
less than 20% of teachers have been trained. It was
Mm.
difficult for me to find statistics, but less than 20% of teachers have been trained on supporting students with neurodivergence, which is crazy when we know that 30 to 35, maybe more percent of their classroom is going to be neurodivergent. 4% of university students in 2025, I believe. I can't remember which school. I'll put it into the show notes, or I'll pop it up on the screen in editing, the magic of editing. But 64% of university students had never heard the term neurodivergence.
Yeah.
Or neurodiversity, which is crazy because everyone falls on the scale of neurodiversity. And
Right.
so what you said is so true, that teachers just were not prepared to deal with you. But as a teacher myself, I taught first grade forever. And right now I'm an educational consultant. I teach teachers to teach and leaders to
Hmm.
lead. And to think that you had a child in your room who you knew you were not helping and who you knew you were not teaching, and for that to
Yeah.
be something that continued on is so upsetting to me because I know it's happening to so many students.
Ugh, don't even get me started with, I thought I was alone for the longest time.
Mm,
I mean, like going through school, being illiterate and very isolated, I'm like, I have to be the only one. I must be like a diamond in this like rarity. But no, there were
yeah,
so many other people that were suffering the same way I was. And I mean, that just blows my mind too, where this is a pattern of, I don't want to be rude, but failure for these
yeah,
children's lives for setting up. I mean, this is what creates homelessness. This is what creates these divides in education. It's so frustrating seeing that happen over and over again and knowing it's still happening in our schools now.
absolutely. And you've spoken a lot about learned helplessness. Tell me a little bit more about that. What did it feel like from the inside?
Oh, that's a really great question. So let me break down what learned helplessness is first.
Yes.
So learned helplessness is this psychological condition that you can develop, usually in adolescent or when you're a child. And it's this pattern of they try and they fail. They try
Mm.
and they fail. And it's this constant over and over and over and over again. They've done this study even too with rats or mice or whatever.
Mm.
They put a piece of cheese on a metal electric board. And so the rat would go onto the board and get electrocuted and keep trying to get this cheese. But eventually they just stop and they completely give up. It's this overall mindset of I can't do this.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even try. It's this absolute helplessness of giving up completely. And I
Yeah.
mean, like some people are like, oh, I've done that where I've done an assignment and then I give up. But it's more than that. It's with
It's
even
different.
it's yeah, it covers all social aspects or all aspects of life. So it was one of the hardest challenges, I would say, getting over that. And not, I wouldn't even say getting over, because even as an adult, I find myself struggling with those thoughts as well. It doesn't
Yeah.
really go away. So it's hard. It was a really hard thing to come over.
Well, and
And
then
it was just so
also I
impactful.
think absolutely. And I think the other thing that makes it even worse is that when you're in an education system, when you have teachers and adults in your life who are supposed to be helping you, and then you feel completely helpless, and then
Yeah.
you want to ask for help, but then you don't want to be the one that has to ask for help, and then you think then you've gotten to the point where like they're just not going to help you. It's really difficult to I don't even know what the word is. Like, I'm sure that there's a term, but for me, like, it's something that in adulthood, I've had to do a lot of work with asking for help because growing up, I desperately wanted help. I knew that I needed help, but asking for help either would one, I wouldn't get the help that I needed, or I would get the help, but I was so good at masking that they would think that I didn't need the help.
Mm,
Or like I would get in trouble. So I just stopped asking for
yeah.
help, even though I desperately wanted it. And so, yeah, it's really, I can see the pain on your face now, just even thinking, like even talking about it. And for
Yeah.
me, I can go back, you know, for the audience. Today is my 48th birthday, and tomorrow is Kelly's birthday. She's much younger than I am. to think to think that we both of us are like it's a visceral reaction to how we felt in those moments. But I
Mm.
never knew the term uh uh why did the term just fall in my head? I didn't know the term learned helplessness. But that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. It's yeah, so impactful. And even too like generational gap, even to individuals I know that are older that also struggle with it as well. So
Yeah.
going back, how long have we as a community been dealing with the same waves over and over again? It's such a harmful impact. It just makes me so mad. Ugh.
It is maddening, and I think that what I think I don't want to dwell on the negative of it, because what I think what you ended up doing was all of that led to a moment where you and your mom or your family were just like something has got to give. And so at 14, you said that you felt broken, and your mom was just like, "No, we are pulling you out." So, I feel like
Yeah.
that was just like a breaking point, but at the same time, a freedom of sort, because your mom was like made a drastic decision. She pulled you out, and then everything shifted. You entered into a space that finally understood and supports you, but it really wasn't a you did not take a traditional route. So, where did you go?
Yeah, great question. And even too, if I can step back a little
Yeah,
bit and
absolutely.
say, how really that started that trigger of changing my life's trajectory, because definitely at that point at 14, um, I was completely illiterate and could not read or spell my first name. It's 5 letters in it. So that was incredibly hard. And I remember specifically the day she decided to pull me out of school. And this was my first day of middle school. So I still cannot read and write. And they put us in a group and they are walking us through touring the school. And eventually they give us a whole bunch of books and they gave us our schedules. And by the way, I also don't know how to do time as well. I did not know time management and I had a very hard time even reading a clock. So they gave us this complicated schedule with multiple teachers on it. And then they also gave us a combination lock in a bunch of books.
Oh,
I remember
wow.
vividly.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was lined up at this big wall of lockers. And I remember all my peers going and opening up their locker and pulling their books out and putting books in. And then they all were heading to their classes. But for me, I walked up to my locker and I didn't know how to use the combination lock. So I saw the numbers I was given. So I tried and I pulled. It didn't work. I tried and I tried and I tried and I pulled and it didn't work. And I have this heavy backpack on in these big books. And I'm just re-saying it. I'm freaking out a little bit. I remember trying and trying and trying, and eventually all these people left that I was supposed to stay in this group with. And then I was trying so hard. I started panicking. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And eventually it was so long, the class ended and all the people came back out to swap out their books and stuff. And I just had a meltdown. I was crying. I didn't know what I was doing. I never went to a class. A lot of that was blocked out.
Yeah.
A lot of that's blocked out.
But
But
overwhelmed. Like,
yeah.
So I've been talking to so many people in the last, months, and I don't even know why it didn't occur to me, but they're just like, your brain cannot learn if it's not ready to learn, if it's not calm, if it's not regulated, if you're not, if you're dealing with overwhelm. Like, your brain literally cannot take in any information, and to your point, like, you can't function, can't make it through the day when you're feeling completely dysregulated the way you were. And that's devastating to be able to have, to deal with that. I can visualize you in my mind. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and even too, this was kind of the cherry on top of just being set up to fail. I mean, I really felt like I was set up to fail again and again and again. So that was the turning point. And afterwards, I got home from school in tears, and my mom's like, "We're not doing this anymore. We need to change something. This is not working. Look how far you are in life, and you're still not at these levels that you need to be at." Which, looking back, I think everyone needs to work at their own pace, but we needed to change something. So eventually she enrolled me in a school for autistic individuals. And that's when my life started turning around and I started seeing more success.
I mean, I just feel like we need to commend your mother for being courageous enough to be like, listen, I'm sorry, this isn't working. So we're going to take a route that is not traditional, but it's what seems right for my daughter. And I don't think enough parents are willing to do that. And I say courageous because I really do think that it takes courage to be able to step out of the box and do that. And some people might think that it was a crazy move, but for me, she looked at what was the support that you needed to have, whether you were autistic or not. Perhaps this school that she looked into would give the level of support that you needed so that you were able to learn in a way that worked for your brain and get back on track, is what I would think that she was thinking. So you spent 3 years at that school for autistic students, even though you were not, even though you're not autistic. And listen, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with autistic people. I think that they're the most brilliant people in the world, but I think that I want to be very careful in saying that you are not autistic. You do have learning differences, but it was more so that the level of support that this school provided was what you needed at that point of time, and your mother recognized that. What worked for you there?
Yeah, so I just want to say too, I was so thankful that they even let me in, because the criteria I definitely did not particularly meet. But I think they really saw that I needed help and I was a very desperate student wanting to learn, and they let me in and I was allowed to enroll. So I was incredibly thankful for that. Even looking back, I am incredibly thankful. I have really good memories at that school. There's a lot of hardship I got at that school, but I mean, they gave me the tools to learn how to read and it changed my life. I didn't even know that when I went to this school, I didn't even know, like, wow, teachers can talk to you and have so much empathy. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that, like, there are so many other people that were like me and that were at these different stages of their life. Oh, I didn't know that classrooms could be so small and that I could get like one-on-one help. I don't need to raise my hand for like an hour and feel my fingers go numb. It was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Just being excited to have these resources. So
Well,
that was incredibly exciting. I'm just like,
well,
what?
you were getting what a lot of students who are, so I think that when you're a student that's on the margin and parent and teachers don't know how to deal with you, it's very difficult. But when you're a student who's in the middle, that kind of fit into the way that we teach, you do get that support. You do get that one-on-one attention because it's easy for teachers to do that for you because the way that you learn is the way that they typically are teaching. But it's just upsetting that
Yeah.
you hadn't felt those things. So through that, more personal attention, personalized attention and smaller class sizes and people actually sitting and working with you, you started to make progress.
Yeah. That particular, when I was younger, when I lost that kind of identity in myself, that bubbly, happy social butterfly, I felt like I finally started to restart and gain that identity back, which
Mm.
was everything.
Yeah.
I finally felt safe enough. I could start talking with my peers and having longer conversations. I was starting to see success. I finally learned how to read. All
Mm.
that was amazing. I'm again, it changed the trajectory of my life. I don't think I'd be here talking to you otherwise without those skills they gave me.
How long
Also
did it
too,
take you to learn to read? Just out of curiosity.
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and even too at that school, that's all I did. I
Mm.
woke up at 5, I went at school and started school at 6, and then I would work the whole day learning how to read and write and breaking down those basic principles to just understand it. And a lot of it was one-on-one help too because of how unique my situation was. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit of math, but mostly just dedicating my time to reading and just getting me where I needed to be.
And I mean, listen, it worked for you. And I know that I don't want to paint like this picture that you went there and you did this and there was like all of a sudden you can read. There was some true hardship that you had to go through at that school as well. Can you speak to, and then not necessarily that it was at the school, but this wasn't an easy transition. I don't want people to think that, you know, you went there and miraculously everything was fine. What were some of the hardships that you had to deal with?
Yeah, thank you for asking that.
Mm.
So I think when I was at that school, I was the most lonely I've ever been in my entire life.
Oh,
And when I say lonely, I mean socially isolated. And contrasting that, this school was incredibly, incredibly, incredibly small. So it was about 50 students or less, and the
okay.
classes were very, very small. So for me, I saw the same 2 or 3 people every day.
Okay.
So the limitations of that, and I felt very just trapped. I began to realize after I succeeded and started growing, and eventually I grew to a point where I'm like, okay, I know how to read a little bit. I feel a lot more confident and safe learning and as well as like socializing. So I think I
Mm,
hit a point where I needed to transition because I needed more. And
yeah.
even to particularly as well, everybody was at their own pace at this school. So,
Mm,
for example, there'd be individuals educationally and socially that would be in different aspects. Some individuals would age range, for example. There's individuals that were graduating high school, and there were some individuals just starting out in their education. So,
okay.
the diversity of ages too made it really hard to socialize because there wasn't a lot of people my age. So,
I
it's
see.
just it became limiting quickly after I started to really heal and start to succeed in those very small hurdles, I guess you can say.
Yeah. And then I think that you also said that one thing that stuck out for me from when we were planning. You mentioned that, and I've seen this as well. When I was working in Arlington, Virginia, I worked at a school that had a dedicated autism classroom, and there were very clear pathways to be accepted into the program, but there weren't as clear of pathways for students when they were ready to transition. And I
Mm.
actually had a student who was ready to not really be in the dedicated autism classroom, and his mother really wanted him to be able to start transitioning into the mainstream classroom. And what was so upsetting to me is that they really didn't have a pathway for him to do it, and
Mm.
teachers weren't willing to help. And so I was just like, he can come to my classroom. And so it was
Mm.
in first grade, he would come to me for like readers theater and a couple other things. And then the next year, I didn't loop up with my entire class, but I kept half of my class. And so I actually had him full time in my classroom the next year. And so it was a nice little transition, but his mother was just like, it was difficult. I was very, I'm very grateful for him being able to be in the autism classroom because it allowed him to get to where he was. But it was she had to fight and go against
Mm.
recommendation to get him into a mainstream classroom. So I know that sorry, and I'm digressing, but I know that you said that there was some difficulty in with some of the I guess with with the diploma that you were able to get if you stayed at that school, and there was just things that were going to put limitations on you. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I particularly was growing up in Seattle at the time. So in Seattle, if you go to a particular school that does not have the particular credits compared to a public school, you get a
Mm,
different type of diploma, especially
okay.
too if you are labeled as disabled and went to this
Mm.
type of disabled school. You wouldn't actually be graduating with the diploma. It would be a fake diploma. So
Like a
wouldn't be able to
certificate of
apply for jobs.
completion.
Yeah, so it said that, yeah, technically you did this, but this actually doesn't qualify for it's not a real diploma. So it was basically the idea of you technically didn't do the things we wanted you to do for high school, so it doesn't actually count. Sorry.
Mm,
So for jobs, if I would have that, then I wouldn't be able to apply for jobs. And that would be even a bigger label and stigma that would be on my record. And
yeah.
what would I do? Go back to a regular high school after taking all this time trying to just learn and do my own path at this other
Mm,
school? So it's complicated. And again, this trajectory was setting me up to fail. I feel like I wouldn't be able to function as well if I didn't have these credentials.
yeah.
So
How old were
there
you
was a
at that
few.
time?
Ooh, I think I was 15, 16. I think I was
Okay.
15, I want to
Mm,
say. Yeah. Probably 16, 15, 16.
okay. So you were there for a few years, but then, and so then well, I mean, I'll let you take me to where you want to take me in the story, but I know that you ended up transitioning back into public school from the school that was the autism school.
I
So
did, yeah.
did I meet is that the next step in your journey?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was at this autistic school, I was feeling very limited. And I was having these conversations with my mom saying, do you think I could transition into regular school? And she's like, you can do anything you want to do. Let's try it. Well,
Mm,
what's the worst that's going to happen? You can just go back to this other school. So I really just wanted to try to go to this school to prove to myself and then to prove to other people that I can do it. And I also really too wanted to make friends. I really wanted to
yeah.
try to restart and to be like, I learned all these great skills and I want to see if I can just put myself in this scenario and see if I can thrive. Unfortunately, though, during that time, COVID hit. So
Oh.
it all turned online. Yeah,
Oh,
it
but
all turned online. So it was definitely not exactly the scenario or dream that I wanted, but it was still a really surprisingly good transition for me because even though the classes and the social scenarios were different and hard, the online aspect gave me a lot of comfort with the social anxiety part, because I definitely was still very nervous about I wanted to try, but just being social, having the social anxiety, it kind of mixed well. It worked out.
Yeah.
It was
And
tough
this
though.
was, you returned to public school as a senior.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's just a lot going on then. I mean, definitely you weren't the same kid that you were when you left and went to the school for students with autism. But there's a lot to be said about having to come back into a school setting, whether it be online or not, as a senior. Like, these students have matriculated together for years
Right.
and years, and I can only imagine that that was really difficult. I also think it's important, Kelly, for, if you're willing to share, for the audience to understand, like, this is fairly recent. You're not that old. So how old are you now, if you don't mind?
No, tomorrow I'm going to turn 23. So, and
20
I just
tomorrow.
graduated. Yeah, yeah, 23 tomorrow, and I just graduated college in May, so fairly recently.
We are
So,
almost
not too long
birthday.
ago.
We are almost birthday besties, Kelly. I knew that there was a reason why I liked you.
Scorpios, that's why we
I
synced
know.
up. It's the Scorpio energy. I love it.
You share a birthday with my auntie and my godmother. So shout out to my auntie Bev. I knew there was something about you that I liked. But
We have good energy. We just match, I feel like. Good flow.
absolutely. But you know what? I think that one thing that really stands out for me is that, one, again, your mother was your champion. She told you that you could do whatever you needed. You could do whatever you needed to do and whatever you thought you wanted to do, and just to try it. But what also stands out for me, and this is, I think, a theme that's going to, that the listeners are going to see throughout the rest of your story, is that you advocated for yourself. So you advocated for yourself in moving into the school that was for autistic children. You advocated for yourself when you felt like it was time for you to transition out, and it required that you advocated for yourself in ways that you maybe hadn't had to before. And so, what shifted in you to make you feel like you could do this? Because this is the thing, and it's something that I really struggle with to this day. I'm not all that great about advocating for myself. And I think if I was at that age, the age that you were when you were doing those things, I wouldn't have been able to do those things, to advocate and ask for what I wanted. So what was that shift in you that got you to say, listen, I know what I need in my life, and I'm going to make sure that I get it?
Going back to that autistic school, I think they really gave me the foundational tools to do that. That and my mom, particularly with this autistic school, they kind of taught me who I was as a learner. So, like, okay, you need to take extra time on this. You think differently, so you need to have these different pathways. I really taught myself kind of what to ask for and kind of what to look
Mm,
for as an individual as unique as myself.
yeah.
However, my mom has really always been my cheerleader and my support. At a certain point, she had to learn herself how to advocate for me. But I learned those skills through her. And so it was kind of a mix between knowing what I need and how to talk about that, and then seeing how my mom advocated for me and trying to replicate those skills,
Yeah.
which was incredibly important. And also in the online space where I wasn't allowed to meet somebody face to face, I
Mm,
had to find different ways on how to really connect with people. That was kind of my main struggle was, oh geez, how do I connect with this person and say the right thing, especially if I
yeah.
can't talk to them after class, or because the energy is probably different. So emails, or writing them during a Zoom call and being like, hey, can we stay after this Zoom call and talk? Just
Mm,
figuring out, and that's really kind of how I figured it out, was using that senior year of high school to really figure out my path on what is the best way to talk or communicate or to reach out to somebody about what I need.
yeah. I also think, I mean, it's a fair point that you were saying when you were at the school for autistic students, and you, because your school, that they really taught you to say, like, this is the way that you learn, this is how you ask for things. Like, it really did carry, like, those life skills really did carry over. But I think that you have to give yourself credit as well for it was, I think, just some of your personality. So even if we go back to the counselor who must not be named that underestimated you,
Shall not be named.
he who shall not be named, who underestimated you, like, not to bring him back up, but you didn't believe him. And you like, and it, yes, it probably was hurtful, but you didn't believe in what he was saying. But what was it in your mind that made you say, this isn't me? I'm not going to limit myself. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply for you. Like, I'm going to apply to college anyway. What made you do that?
I would say, I feel like he saw me by my labels. That's why he made those
Mm.
assumptions about me.
Oh, tell me more
And
about that.
why? Yeah, so I had an IEP. I was very verbal about talking about my accommodations with anybody and everybody I could talk to that could help me. But I was also making good grades. So that always confused me. But
Yeah.
he labeled me and then put me into this box of what he thought I could do. And I knew it was wrong. I mean,
Mm.
I've heard a lot of this throughout my life. Teachers being like, "Listen, don't look at the stars. Don't think about college. Let's look at your feet and just figure out if you can do this right now." Which you're told that a lot, but eventually, I mean, the future's tomorrow. What am I
Mm.
going to do? And I'm asking and looking for that help. So I just knew it wasn't right. And especially too the strange path I was taking through my life. I'm like, I I think I can just choose my own path and
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay because I know myself better than this person who thinks they know me. So I just got a gut feeling that what I want to do is right and what he's telling me is wrong.
Well, and then the
So
other thing that
I
really
applied.
bothers me about this situation is that you met the requirements to apply to this university. It wasn't like you didn't have the
Yeah.
grades. It wasn't like you weren't taking the courses. It wasn't like you hadn't taken the tests and the things that you needed to do to be able to get into university. So for him to solely say, okay, well, this girl is dyslexic and has dyspraxia and dysgraphia and what have you, but then not to look at what you had proven you were able to do is what was, I think, for me, so upsetting, because it wasn't like you had this unrealistic notion of what you were capable of doing. You had already proven that you were capable of doing the work. So much for so that when you applied, you got a scholarship. That's what I think really bothered me, because you were capable. It's like it's and I think, what, just going back to what you said, he was only seeing you by the labels. He never saw past that. And this is, Kelly, this is why, and don't let me get too much on my soapbox. Pull me back down if I get too much. But this is why I do this
Yeah.
podcast, because people get into their minds that you are dyslexic, you are autistic, you have ADHD. And then they look at this extreme example of what that means. And then they put us all into, so like, oh, you have ADHD. You must not be able to sit down. You must be so hyperactive. You must be this, that, and the other, which clearly you're not. You're dyslexic. You just flip all of your words around. Like, even though most dyslexic don't do that. Like, it's like we have this outdated or just this huge misconception about what all these things are. And then he
Yeah.
went based on that and then said, okay, you're going to be a garbage collector. And listen, nothing wrong with garbage collectors.
No, yeah. They make the
They're
world go round, really. It's a hard job.
they are a needed profession. But
Yeah.
it it baffles me. It baffles me. Like, had you ever even like shown, I'm not even going to ask it. I'm like, have you ever even shown interest in
You know
it?
the answer. It's no. Yeah, no. I didn't say I
So
like trash or I like the guy from Sesame Street that is
yeah,
in the
like
trash
there was
can. No,
nothing
no
that, like,
hints
how
like
did
that.
Listen, I remember, I think my story is a little bit different in that I was never I never had an IEP. I never had anything of that nature. And if I didn't tell my teachers that I had dyslexia or Erlang syndrome, at the time they called it scotopic sensitivity syndrome, if I didn't tell them, they wouldn't have known.
Mm.
And so I think that that was kind of one distinction for me. Like, I never really had to deal with people making any like assumptions because they knew that I was dyslexic. But at the same time, because I didn't have those things in place, there were certain things that I didn't get, accommodations or what have you, and I didn't really know how to advocate for myself, which transitions me into my favorite part of your story, because you didn't just learn to advocate for yourself, you decided that you're going to teach other people how they can do it too. And so I really wanted to talk to you about what does self-advocacy look like in practice, because you have gotten you've started a whole, I'm not going to say movement, but you have a career in this now, right? you
Yeah.
This is what you do. And so maybe tell us a little bit about how you transitioned. You went into art school, right? So maybe tell us how that transition was, and then how did you start helping other people start advocating for themselves?
Yeah, for sure. So when I was transitioning into art school, just all transitions are hard.
Mm,
So it was just a learning curve of I'm starting over again. Okay, now it's all physical. Now there's nothing online. That's weird. So this is like my first time going to a physical school compared to
mm,
just being online. Ugh. Um, but I think it was really good because that was again another turning point of okay, so I've kind of learned how to ask these questions. I've learned kind of digitally how to speak out, but now I got to figure out how to communicate in person with these individuals, and that was kind
yeah.
of what I was feeling out freshman sophomore year was okay, this person doesn't know who I am. I need to introduce myself. Okay, so now they know me. So I'm going to explain that I have this, and that. And I just want to ask questions, like if they have tests. So really just trying to prep myself and try to kind of see in the future of what I might need then. Because I don't want to be caught off guard when it's like, oh, I have a test today and I don't have extra time. And so really trying to prepare myself to make sure I'm set up to succeed. Because
Mm,
that's incredibly important, trying to look at least a little bit into the future of, okay, what can I ask for now so then I can have it covered later. And during that time, I began to meet friends, find these friend groups, and also other neurodivergent people. And when I was meeting these other neurodivergent people, I would be like, "Oh, so you know, like what an IEP is? Like, do you know like what kind of symptoms do you have? And like what kind of? Oh, you have autism? That's awesome. Oh, you have dyslexia? Tell me about that."
mm,
And I remember some of my friends being like, "What's an IEP? I don't know what that means." And I'm like, "Oh, that's okay. Well, do you have accommodations?" And they're like, "What are accommodations?"
yeah.
So I realized that other individuals were at a very different point than I was with the advocating. And
Mm,
I found myself getting to know and really connecting with these individuals and starting to advocate for them. So I would be in these classes and I'd be like, "Hey, I got extra time on a test. Did you need that?" And they're like, "You can get extra time on a test?
yeah.
Yes, I would love that." So then me and them would like stay after class with the instructor and talk, and that's kind of really where my helping other people started, was helping
Okay.
out my friends and just like figuring out, oh, they don't know this, but it's just like that connection of that information, right? Because they just
Mm.
didn't know. It's that access to information where it's like, I didn't know I could have this. I didn't know I needed this. Oh, this like really helped me. So that's kind of the door that opened, which I was
But
really
on the
thankful for.
other side, and forgive me because I don't think I told you I was going to ask you this question, but I just remember when we were talking about your story, and you said that one thing that was kind of, I don't know if it was a shock to you, but there were teachers or professors who flat out were like, "No, I don't believe in that. Like, I don't believe in accommodations. I'm not, no." And you
Yeah.
had to
Oh yeah.
teach and advocates for that, but you've changed some minds about what that looks like to support students, even from the professor's perspective. So, can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'd love to. And also too, that that particular story is in my book as well.
Mm.
But going into that, I'll paint the picture. So because I was in special ed and in this private school and then into the my senior year of high school, I never had a science class. I never had an art class. I never had this access to these like different types of learning and education. So
Yeah.
I was required to take this science class, and I was really, really nervous because I'm like, that's for smart people. I don't know if I'm smart. I've done a lot, but like, I don't know if I can do this. So, okay, I'm going to really have to flex my skills here of my accommodations. Okay. I probably need this, and that, because like, there's probably going to be time tests. I know there's going to be a lot of reading. Please don't let me write anything down physically, because I can't do that. So I had all these ideas in my head of like what to ask for. And I believe I even emailed the instructor beforehand, but he never wrote me back. So first day of class, we go in, and he explains what's going to happen. It was just an intro, and then we were done.
Mm.
Afterwards, I'm like, hey, can I talk to you? Did you see my email about the accommodations? And he's like, yeah, I saw your email. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, that's great. So then if you read it, then that means you kind of know what I'm going to ask. And he's like, yes, I know what you're going to ask. And I'm like, uh-oh, the vibes are weird. What does this mean? So I was panicking a little bit. I'm like, okay, all right, this hasn't happened before. So I'm like, yeah. So as you know, I have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I really need these accommodations. And he's like, yeah, so I don't believe in that. Like, listen, people have asked for it before, and I just think that you can do well. Like, you'll just have to figure it out. And I'm like, that scared me. That like really did scare me. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. Okay. But
Which is illegal, by the
after
way.
all,
Like,
yeah,
let's just be clear. You can't
yeah.
do that.
No, no, you can't. And
Okay.
you know what I did? I said, well, I disagree. I
Mm.
disagree with you, because I know I can do good in your class, but you have to let me prove it.
Mm.
I'm not going to be at the same level as everybody else. You need to at least give me some shoes so I can run like everyone else.
Mm.
And eventually, through that conversation, he's like, okay, we'll figure something out. And long story short, I really educated that instructor on learning disabilities, and like we became really close. He's a really, really great instructor. I just had to work through with him what that meant. And I think too, he also had this idea of, he was trying to, or I guess when students came to him, I think maybe he was thinking that they were lazy, and or that they
Mm.
were trying to get out of his lessons or trying to cheat the system.
Yeah.
And I just proved to him that that's not it. That's not why people are going to come to you. It's just about it's about equity. It's about keeping the even playing field. And
Yes.
even too, I remember him saying to me like, yeah, not many people get A's in my class. And I told him, oh yeah, well, I think I can get an A in your class. And he's like, we'll see about that. And I got an A
Mm.
in his class at the end of the year. And I think after just proving myself and that I can succeed, it changed his mind.
Yeah.
So just one person at a time.
Well, I mean, I think it's it's so important. My grandfather, his favorite saying was, "Some people don't know that they don't know," and so you can't really fault him for not knowing. And I mean, I do commend him for being open to having that conversation with you, where he understood what you were asking for. But I also can't help but wonder how many students didn't get to succeed or meet the level of success that they might have been able to, because he was so resistant to accommodations. And so, yeah, but I love that story. I love that you were able to make those changes. But let's talk about, because you do a lot of work, and even when you were in school, you were helping so many people who were feeling defeated and deflated or ashamed. So when a student comes to you
Yeah.
feeling that way, where do you start with them?
I would probably say we would swap stories.
Mm.
So just the core of learning itself is to be comfortable and to feel like you are in a safe space. I learned that through being in this private school, that I needed to feel like I belonged and I was connected. So really importantly, I would usually explain with the person I'm with, hey, this is my story. And relating onto that and then them telling their story back and being like, oh, okay, so you get it. Like, okay, we're kind of in the same boat. That makes sense. So
Yeah.
I kind of trust you a little bit more. And with that understanding as well, getting to know them, that gives me a better idea of maybe what to look for that they need, trying to break down, oh, okay, so you have these things and you were talking about your experiences through school. So you probably need extra time on tests. You probably need to get extra accommodations, all this kind of stuff. So really, I think that would be the start of it. It's just really important to listen to the individual, because I think, again, feeling so isolated and feeling like you're the only one having someone else to talk to and to just really understand you is like half the battle.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think that even in passing, you kind of gave us, I was going to ask you about strategies or things that students can ask, but I think you even gave that to us. So talking to other people who might be in the same situation, emailing ahead of time to your teachers, professors, letting them
Yeah.
know that, your brain works this way and there's certain things that you need to be successful. Um, and talking to your professors or instructors or whoever you're with to let them know that there's certain things that you're going to need. But are there any other concrete strategies or words students can use to ask for what they need in school?
I think you already said it. And that word is need. Something that I've noticed is the difference between individuals saying, I think maybe this might help, I don't know, compared to someone saying, I need this, I'm going to succeed. There's a confidence in as well as a trust, knowing
Yeah.
that, okay, I trust you because you seem so confident in these things. And when I say confidence too, you don't necessarily have to be confident, because I know that's a really hard thing for people to work
Mm,
through and to get to. But even
yeah.
just using the correct, or not even correct, this certain terminology can get individuals to be more trusting or to understand. Another thing I would say is clarity. So really explaining why you need those things. It's one thing to say, okay, I need this, 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 and that. But
Mm,
how different would it be to say, I need extra time on tests because I read slower. I'm trying to think of more examples. I need to stay out of the classroom when I take a test because I get really anxious and then all the sounds around me gets me distracted.
yeah.
It's all these things that if you explain, then they're going to be more likely to also assist you with, because it's like, oh, this is real. Okay, you
Mm,
explained it. It's very clear to me. So it's kind of painting this whole picture. And lastly, too, I think maybe the most important thing is don't be ashamed of it. You don't need to be ashamed of it. You just don't. In the sense, I know that's hard to say, like,
yeah.
especially for people that are coming from a place of like, they're going to hate me. They're going to think something different of me. They're going to treat me different in class. It's, listen, you are protected by the law. The
Mm,
law has your back. You can ask these things. You really can, and you're not going to get in trouble for it. It's just, you got to see it. And it's
yeah.
just so important that I try showing that to people too.
Absolutely.
Just, it's so easy to assume those things, but if you see it being actually put into action, it really helps you show that, like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I just needed to see how I can do it, and now I can do it. So
Yeah.
super
And I
important.
think that, I mean, I this podcast is global, and I have people that listen from over the world, and I'm so grateful for that. But I think people also need to understand that there are very few places that I have come across. I mean, there's definitely some. I don't want to say there's not, but in most instances, it might not be law, but there might be policies that are in place. There might be regulations from the school board or the Ministry of Education that like explains what you are entitled to. So if you, just as a caveat, I guess, or some suggestion, I don't even know if that caveat is the right word for that, but for some suggestions for people who might not be in a location where there are such defined rules and laws when it
Mm.
comes to this thing, I would encourage you to speak to the school, speak to the Ministry of Education or the school group, the school district, what have you, to figure out what policies and procedures are currently in place, and then if there are
Yeah.
not things in place, how could like challenge and request what you need. Because I will say, regardless of where I've been in the world, when parents or teachers or students advocate for themselves and say, I need this. And then to your point, Kelly, say, this is the reason why I need it. I haven't seen many circumstances. I mean, there's some, but I haven't seen many circumstances where people give you a no to that answer. And so this is just a example of what happens when you do like speak up for yourself, explain, and it's not coming from a victim standpoint. It's coming from a, this is what I need to deal with. This is what I'm dealing with. And this is what I need to be successful, because teachers want you to be successful. Students, I've not met a student who that doesn't want to be successful. So it's just knowing what you put into place to be able to speak to that. But I guess that kind of goes into my next question is, what do you wish adults understood about tongue-tied. What do you wish adults understood about why self-advocacy matters?
Ooh, that's a good one. I have an example, I would say, for this.
Okay.
So I'm going to use my mom. As you know, she was my biggest cheerleader. She worked very, very hard to advocate for me. But she, as a neurotypical individual, did not start out that way. So for probably the 14 years of my life, she really regrets the times that she did not advocate for me. And we've talked about this too.
Yeah.
So for example, she really trusted this school system to help me. And why wouldn't you trust the school system?
Yeah.
You give your child to the school system. They're trained. They have teachers. They have resources. They have all these things. So they should be able to teach my child. And I trust them. They're the professionals, right? But that's really only half of it,
Yeah.
sadly. For a lot of the time, she waited and waited and waited. And eventually, I wasn't making the progress I needed to. And that's when she figured out that she needed to step in and help me. So that's kind of where it started for her to speak up. And when she started speaking up for me, things started to change. Like they really started to change. That was kind of the snowball effect of where I am now and how I got to these places. So even to adults can be like the figure stone of teaching kids how to use that. So if you see that behavior, it's easier to implement later. So
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of, while you were talking, it just made me think of one thing is that I think that what we need to really explain to adults who are in these positions where they're dealing with students who are neurodivergent, and or any student who needs any type of accommodation or what have you, is that advocating yourself for yourself is not defiance. And I think too often with adults, and when they see a student or a child who is willing to stand up for themselves and ask what they need, a lot of times that in their mind equates to that child's disrespectful or they're defiant or they're hard-headed or whatever you want to call them. And so I think it's very important that we normalize students advocating for themselves and normalize adults not seeing that as being disrespectful or being defiant or being naughty. It's just someone telling you again what they need to be successful.
yeah, and I want to jump off of that too, particularly especially right now with those feelings of defiance. I think that's why it's so important to phrase things very specifically, because if you
Mm-hmm.
can phrase them a certain way, some individuals are going to be like, oh, you're just trying to tell me what to do. Oh,
Yeah,
maybe you're trying to get away with something. But again, just how you phrase it could really change the trajectory of the perception of the individual you're trying to talk to, which it
absolutely.
shouldn't be like that. But
No,
that's where we are.
I was thinking of a while you were talking just now, I kept thinking of a story that kind of comes back in my mind a lot. And in middle school, right when I had been diagnosed, so Erlin syndrome, part of a very common, I won't say issue, but difficulty that we have when we have Erlin syndrome is that we're very sensitive to lights. And for
Hmm.
me, fluorescent lights look like strobe lights to me. And where I'm sitting and how I'm sitting under a light can really make a big difference as well. And the middle school that I went to had fluorescent lights, but you could turn off like two of the rows or one of the rows, but they were so bright to me. But it did make a difference because there were rows of them. So there were some seats that were not directly underneath the light. And
Mm.
I remember I also had glasses that had like the colored lenses in them. But if the light got behind the colored lens, it almost felt like the light was kind of bouncing back and forth. It was just very difficult. And so I was very careful about where I sat in classrooms because it made a huge difference. And I remember that I was in this classroom and I asked the teacher, can I just move back one seat because the lights were hurting my eyes? And in her mind, I just wanted to sit with my friends. Like I was just trying to like move
Mm.
back so I could sit closer to my friend. And I was like, no, I really am not, like the light hurts my eyes. Can I please just move back? And I remember in that moment, like she was so mad and she like yelled at me about it. And in that moment, like the other kids in the class that knew that I had Erlin syndrome, or at the time scotopic sensitivity, they were like, no, she can't be under the lights. It hurts her. It gives headaches. And everyone just kind of ganged up on the teacher in that moment, like no. And because she was like, I was just gonna be resigned to just sitting in that seat because she wasn't going to let me. And then in that moment I just felt like a bit more empowered because like my friends were behind me, and then it was enough for her to be like, okay. And so she talked to me, and then I told my parents about it, and my mom called and was like, this is what she has. She's very sensitive to light. Like if she asks you to move, she's really not trying to be difficult. Now, was I always great in middle school? No, I was a little bit of a something. I'm like, was not the best child, but in that instance, I was not trying to get with my friend. But it was very like that teacher had a conversation with my mother. She knew a little bit about what I had, and so from that moment on, it was like if I came into class, she would turn off some of the lights if I needed to. Like it was just a nice. It, that moment, although frustrating, really turned into her being able to say like, okay, this child does need this. And it was nice to have someone that actually listened. It
That's
was,
amazing. That is like
yeah,
such a good scenario too. That is so sweet. Ugh.
yeah. But what's upsetting is that it doesn't always happen. And
Yeah.
there were other teachers that refused to do it, uh refused to do it for me. But
Mm.
if I think back to, if I had put a plan into place that said I needed to sit close to, windows with natural light, or I should be able to wear a hat, or any of those things really could have made a huge difference, but I didn't even think about that. And I mean, and I'm coming from a family full of educators. My father was the principal of the high school that my middle school fed into, but we never really thought about that. So let's fast forward a little bit. So you've helped yourself advocate for what you need. You've helped other peers advocate for what they needed. You've helped shift the thinking of professors at your university, right? And you definitely, I feel like along the way kind of shifted from like surviving through your story to really using your story to raise awareness.
Yeah.
And I know that you were happy to help other people, but I feel like there was a real shift where you're just like, okay, this happened to me, I'm going to help others like me, but you're doing it in a much more substantial way. So can we talk about that? So what are you doing now? What is your company? Because I want to transition into the work. Like, yes, your story is compelling, but you've really used that to transition to making this your life's work at a very young age. So I really wanted to make sure that we're highlighting that.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
So I'll start backwards, I think. So,
Okay.
my company is named Neuronavigation, and what we do is we provide tools, resources, and services for neurodivergent individuals and their families. All these resources that we create is based off on my personal experiences as well as other individuals' personal experiences. So, really, the reason why I built this company is because of my personal experience.
Yeah.
I felt like I suffered a lot through school, a lot. And I also feel like it could have been changed if there was just education of maybe
Mhm.
my parents knowing or teachers. If just somebody knew just even a little bit, I feel like I could have been in a better place.
Yeah.
So that's what my goal is. A lot of the things I do is educational purposes.
Mm.
I'm very scientific. Once I took that one science class, I love science, and I've been really trying to put that into my work of keeping things as accurately as possible. So making sure that the information that we are sharing is accurate. Because even too, in the neurodivergent community, we have some disconnects of exactly what ADHD could be, or dyslexia, or the
Oh,
confusion of,
absolutely.
are they the same thing, or are they part of the same spectrum? So all that kind of stuff, I'm very, very passionate about trying to break that apart. And on that note as well, really, all these things that I've created go back to the first ever thing I did, which was write a book.
Mm.
And I don't know if you can see it in the back. No, I don't think you can. I have, you know what? I'll grab it.
Yeah, grab it for us.
Okay. Like little visual cues. So this is the first ever book I wrote called Silence Plea, The Child Who Learned Differently. And this is just a memoir of my story, like the things that we've been talking about here now, in a little bit more detail as well. So when I wrote that book, it kind of spiraled. So I was still in college when I finished and I wrote that book. And
Okay.
I connected more with my community. I already had this small friend group of neurodivergent individuals, but when I finally published this book, people were emailing me. I was sharing this book with professors, and they're like, wait a minute, I have a kid who's neurodivergent. I didn't really get it. And so it opened up all these different conversations, and I was meeting more and more people. So that was really my spark of like, whoa, there are way more people than I thought there was, especially in the community that I'm in right now. Like this is crazy. It was
So many people
amazing.
hide it. Like, so many people hide the fact
Yeah.
that they're neurodivergent. It's why I love that I am able to share live experiences like yours, because I'm just like, people are seeing you can be illiterate till the age of 14 and still graduate. By the way, you graduated from university on time, right? Like, you weren't
Yes, I did.
delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
which
no.
is which is insane. It just goes to be said that when you put the appropriate tools in place, people have the right support, both academically and emotionally. Like, when you put these things in place, when you have the courage to advocate for yourself, when you have people in your corner cheering you on, like, you're able to do so many things. Like, the mere fact that you could not read until you were 14, could not write your name, and
Yeah.
graduated. I mean, if we even think about that for a second, how, like, you are 22, 22, 22, about to be
22 right
23,
now, and then tomorrow
23
23.
tomorrow, 23 tomorrow. And so 23 tomorrow. If I even think about the fact that you were illiterate until 14, and that's when you were diagnosed. It took you a little longer to learn how to read.
Yes, yeah. I was
And
diagnosed at 9, and then 14.
14 is when you were
I
okay.
was still at it. Yeah.
So from 9 to 22, like, that is not a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really not a lot of time.
Technically, I would only have 8 years of experience with reading compared to
Yes.
my peers that would have a much longer time. I was breaking that down with somebody. I'm like, wow, that's really weird to think about, that I've only had 8 years compared to somebody else who's had a fuller education or longer time experience with that.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. I'm very thankful. And sometimes I'm like, man, I can't believe I did that. And at the specific level I was at. And I think really that's because of my advocacy that I got there.
It just speaks to like the brilliance of the neurodivergent mind. And I guess I kind of have the same situation. As like, I was 12 when I learned how to read, and I graduated on time and was in university by 18. So a very short amount of time for me to kind of learn a lot of things and then go off to university. And we are not the exception. This is pretty much the norm. Like, once you get that missing piece in with someone who's neurodivergent, we really do take off. But you haven't only written one book. Can you tell us what else you have done? Because you've done a lot.
Yeah. So I have a series of, they're called the Clever Girl series. It's 3 books, and it's for younger readers. So it's really, I love these books. I'm so proud of them because I think it really fills a void of something I wanted when I was younger, which was being introduced in a positive way of what disabilities are. Actually, two, I think, yes, they're in reach. Here is an example. So they break down things like dyslexia, dyscalculia, and ADHD. And the point of those books is to introduce these ideas young and to positively introduce them and show that you're not really alone. The author, who is this person here.
Oh, wow, look at you.
Yes, my little me. Also has these, and it's okay that you have these, and just explaining in a nice way that this is what ADHD is. Just breaking those negative stigmas that will eventually develop if you are not taught them, because the world is going to teach you what that is, and it's not correct.
I just see a theme that's kind of presenting itself again and again, Kelly, that you do so many things to help other people, and to help them see like the brilliance in themselves, to see that there is just nothing wrong with them, that they're capable. Is that what inspired you to write these books?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, even looking at the neurodivergent community now, the intelligence, the beauty, the diversity, there's so much there, but I feel like there's a lot of hardship as well. So just if we can try to circumvent and start putting our experiences into growing a more positive future, that means everything to me. Like I want to help as many people as possible and start maybe a better future and try to avoid what happened to me when I was younger.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of services for neural navigation, what are some of the things? Are you working with schools? Do you work with who? Who do you service?
Yeah, so I work with, right now, I've been particularly working with college students and parents.
Okay.
For parents, I have a lot of educational resources of education. So, what do these neurological disorders, or neurological differences?
Mm,
Disorder is such like a negative word.
yeah.
Neurological differences. So, teaching what that is, giving a lot of resources. So, for example, what is an IEP? Here is a structured IEP that you can base off on. What are accommodations? Here's a whole bunch of accommodations that you could use. So really breaking down and providing these resources that aren't necessarily told you when you're going through this system for the first
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Even for college students too, advocacy is a really big aspect that I see for success. So I had a friend group in college that was 6 people, and that 6 people, 3 of them dropped out because they weren't speaking for themselves. They were really struggling in school, and I just kind of saw them fall farther and farther behind, and I
Yeah.
felt like they weren't advocating for themselves. So that's something I want to try to do too, is when people reach out to me and say, "Hey, I could use your services," I'm like, "Let's do it. I know you
Mm,
can succeed, but it's just there's some certain paths that we can take to do that." So those are a few things. Also, too, I have these as well. So these are called zines, and I'm going to have them on my website soon. So this is kind of a
yeah.
new product that I'm making.
Okay.
Just a side thing.
They're called
Each
what?
one, they're called zines. So it's like a miniature book that you can make. You could even print this out yourself and have your own version. So they're super cool. So they're basically miniature books. So this one's about dyslexia. And what I've done is I've found the official definition, and I've done feedback on what the official definition is missing. I've told it's a spectrum. I go into the science behind it. So what does it look like in the brain?
Oh,
You can
wow.
open it up and find, oh, here's what exactly it looks like in the brain, and that's where it functions. Also to statistics as well. Oh, here's all the statistics of dyslexia, and all
I'm not
kinds of
sure
stuff,
I
even
know
like a
what
timeline.
like, I don't know if I know what, dyslexia looks like in the brain. Like, I'm really this is cool.
Yeah, I feel like I was trying, when I was making these, again, as someone who asks a lot of questions, I was trying to ask all my questions and put them in this book, because really, like, where does dyslexia come from? Is it
Yeah.
genetic? Is it developmental? And it's both. And as well as, what does that look like inside? So I was trying to really make it fun too, with like, it's hard to do it with 2 hands, but just looking at the inside of that, I have like my marks on
Yeah.
it because I've been making feedback on it, but just really trying to make it clear of, this isn't scary. These are just parts of your brain that are different, and
Yes.
what makes it different. So
'Cause
I
it's
have
literally just
4
a
currently.
difference. Like, It's
Yeah.
we're not missing anything. We're not it's just different. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that when people see this and listen and share with their friends, I hope these people are going to want to know where they can get your books, where they can look into your services. And so, can you give us a little bit of an idea of where can people connect with you?
Yeah, for sure. So if you want to reach out to me and ask questions or need me for resources, please reach out to my Gmail, which is kellyvanzat@neuronavigation.com, as well as LinkedIn. I write a lot of people on LinkedIn. I connect with a lot of people on LinkedIn. So reach out to me there. It's just Kelly Van
That's
Zant.
how we met.
That's how we met. So that's how I meet a lot of people is on LinkedIn. Love that platform. Also, too, if you just want to find my resources, a lot of them are free. Go to neuronavigation.org. That is a really great place. I'm really proud of how that turned out. And I also just launched a neurodivergent cafe. So it is a community of individuals who are neurodivergent or family members who are neurodivergent, and they post on there and they just talk to each other. So if you want to join
Oh,
that too,
amazing.
feel free.
And we'll link all of this in the show notes so that people can find it
Yeah.
more easily. But thank you for that. Okay, so as we're getting ready to wrap up, I want to end with two questions. One that I ask every single guest. But if you could speak to that 9-year-old version of yourself, the girl who felt not enough, who felt different, who felt lonely, what would you tell her?
Hmm. I I think I would say I would tell her that she is clever. I would tell her that regardless of what other people say and have expectations of, don't let them limit you. You have the potential to unlock or achieve anything. You really do. So
Mhm.
don't listen to anybody else because you are enough. You're always going to be enough. And right now, you don't know it yet, but you're going to help other people just as much as you needed help right now. So,
Oh, it's so true. I wish I could go back and tell my little 6-year-old self, like, you're gonna be doing big things. Like, you're gonna be helping many people. So just don't feel so alone. And the question that we ask every single person who comes onto the podcast is, what joy has neurodiversity brought into your life?
ooh, I would say community. I feel like I
I love
was
that.
always looking for community when I was younger. And at first, I thought neurodiversity gave me a lot of pain and confusion. But in reality, no, it was the world that was giving me those perceptions. In
Yeah.
actuality, there are so many like minded, amazing, fun people just like you that I get to meet and connect with. So I don't know. I just know that we as the community can change the world and we think different and make amazing things. So I'm just thankful that I get to be a part of that.
Oh, I love that. No one's ever given me that answer, but it's so true.
Oh,
Kelly, thank you so much for sharing your story and for reminding us what it truly means to advocate for ourselves and to advocate for others. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you.
such a pleasure speaking to you. Just thank you for your time. This has been amazing.
No, no, thank you. I mean, I honestly, I say it every single episode. I'm just so grateful that people trust me to share their story. So the gratitude goes completely to you. So thanks so much. And to everyone listening, if this episode inspired you to stand a little taller in your own story, to advocate for yourself, to help someone else advocate for themselves, please help us by sharing this story, encouraging other people to listen, like, subscribe. It's the best way to tell the algorithm to share it with other people. Also, if you like and subscribe, you will get notified every single time we post a new episode, and you won't miss these amazing conversations. So please go ahead and do that. So thank you for listening, for showing up, and for helping us build a world where neurodivergent stories are heard, honored, and celebrated. We will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again, Kelly. And that's a wrap for this episode of The Joy of Neurodiversity. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, empowered, and seen. Remember, neurodiversity isn't something to fix, it's something to celebrate. If you loved this episode, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a review. It truly helps more people find this space of understanding and joy. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. And let's keep the conversation going. Connect with me on Instagram at The Joy of Neurodiversity and LinkedIn at Joy Buckner, and share your thoughts using the hashtag The Joy of Neurodiversity. New episodes drop every other Thursday, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next dose of neurospicy brilliance, deep dives, and empowering conversations. Until next time, embrace who you are, celebrate how you think, and keep rewriting the narrative, because the world needs your brilliance. Think big, be bold, and never dim your neurodivergent spark, because we were never meant to fit in.